My name is Anna Kuzmanic. I'm the costume designer for OSF production of Beauty and the Beast, directed by Eric Tucker. The first step is obviously reading the script, and if there are any primary source materials like a novel, a biography, or in this case it was 1740 French story of Beauty and the Beast. And then of course reading the script follows. And while reading the script, I really like drawing these emotional sketches, as I call them. They are really doodles that often don't have much to do with the clothes, but they just kind of capture the way I feel about a certain scene or a certain character. And then through the process of solidifying the design, through research, more drawing, sketching, adding color, I always refer to these instinctive doodles, and I think of them as a roadmap. My first idea for this costume base came from the way Disney script was written, namely the prologue, which is supposed to be narrated and mimed. So I turned for inspiration to my favorite pantomime artist, Marcel Marceau. And I imagined this first prologue look as a rough sketch. If you can think of an ink sketch, black ink against white paper, I imagined the costumes to be in this black and white, colorless world, just like the world of pantomime. And then as the characters start emerging in the prologue, they add one exaggerated costume piece that is really embodying the essence of that storybook character. And I wanted these costume pieces to at the same time be whimsical and kind of unsettling, the way sometimes children's drawings can be, because they're very honest. So if something is scary, the child's drawing can really capture the eeriness of that. This is kind of, I call it the Bible. So there is all the information about the swatches, and it also contains specific information on the hairstyles that should be used for every character. This is fun. This is character of Le Fou, the research for the basic shape of the coat, the cuffs, the collar, the shape of his pins. And then of course this is my interpretation, the drawing. And so the drapers actually really enjoy seeing the exaggerated drawing in combination with some real research, so that they can find that right balance of what the laws of physics allow versus when you look at the 2D drawing, it is much easier to distort the proportions. As the story starts unfolding, the costumes become more detailed, and each named character actually adds a splash of color. So as the village starts to be created, as Eric Tucker said, out of the thin air in front of the audience's eyes, the actors in the base costume are playing the villagers and creating this magic through their movement, through their voice. And of course we have pops of colors in this sea of black and white. The charming French village is quite cheerful and funny. However, when we get into the castle, the things change, and the objects and the beast are darker and scarier, and they're also more fully fleshed out. I envisioned the castle creatures, the objects, as these beings that are captured in this world that is juxtaposed. So there are elements of organic asymmetry to them, which represents the body and the humanness that is leaving them. And so I imagined the objects as this combination of opposites. We have the organic asymmetric elements that represent their humanness that is leaving them, combined with the angular symmetry of the objects that is overtaking them. As a designer, I value asymmetry over symmetry and order. I think that asymmetry is beautiful, it's organic, but it can also be chaotic and disturbing. And so that is the world of the castle. And I'm also using the element of repetition in the design to highlight that original question that I was interested in, which is what is it in us that makes us human, and what is it also that makes us beastly, that duality and kind of the bleeding of the border between the two. So after the drawing phase is done and the costume design is finished, the hunt for fabric starts, and that is yet another phase that I really enjoy. And so I go hunting fabrics, and I have to be careful to not be seduced by all the wonderful fabric options and stay on track. I worked with the New York swatcher Dana Burkhardt, who helped find all these wonderful swatches. I'm quite excited about our production of Beauty and the Beast. I think that it is an unusual, exciting, new, fresh, and contemporary take on this classic tale, and it should also be truly a visual and oral delight for every audience member.